beach lover. I'm so happy that you've taken some time to join me in my studio again today. If it's your first time here, my name is Jen C. Lindquist. I'm an artist out of Longwood, Florida. I mostly work with acrylic paints. I have dabbled in oils and a few other mediums as well, but acrylics are my main focus. This is one of the paintings from my abstract collection, which is one that I released earlier in the year. And I decided to do some abstract paintings just to give myself a little bit of a challenge, to try to learn some new skills, to see if I like doing abstract, if it's something I would be interested in painting more of. I am not classically trained as an artist. Most of my art skills I've learned on my own. If I ever struggle in certain areas, I'll watch YouTube videos, to be quite honest with you, that help me learn how to paint clouds so they actually look fluffy or whatever. So I'm self-taught / YouTube University. This painting was inspired by our time at the Springs. As avid campers, my husband and I do spend a lot of our vacation times at the Springs around Florida. I picked my colors basically based on the fact that I wanted to create some depth in this painting and have some really nice contrast. So I went with darker browns around the outside and trying to keep the innermost part as light as possible. I did add that dark green for to represent the grass that grows up in the middle of the springs, and just to give it a little bit more depth there. I don't always plan my paintings out well, but usually I have an idea of what I want to do. In this case, I did not sketch anything out ahead of time. With this entire abstract series, I had an idea of what I wanted to do, but didn't have it planned out so that the painting could progress naturally as I painted. I knew I wanted to use a particular reference photo for this and create an idea of the springs without actually creating an actual picture of the springs. I just wanted to give more of that feeling than anything else. The reference photo that I used for this particular painting is from one of our camping trips to Manatee Springs here in Florida. It was taken in the winter. We had a lovely time. We did lots of walking and hiking, and yes, we did see manatees. We did not go in the water with the manatees, but we did get some video and some pictures of a bunch of manatees hanging out together. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the layers of this painting. So you may have seen the white surface at the beginning. I actually decided to gesso over one of my old paintings. It's a painting I was not terribly proud of, although the colors were beautiful and I did actually have it hanging up in my house for a little while. It wasn't one that I loved. It wasn't part of a collection. It wasn't something that I felt other people connected with. So I decided, and gesso is that white, it's kind of a powdery liquid, I guess. That doesn't really make a lot of sense, and you put it over your canvas to smooth it out. So I did 2 or 3 layers of gesso. I did a little bit of sanding down as well, but there was still some texture left behind, which I was not completely expecting. I was hoping to get rid of a lot of that. So I did make a point to make this piece very textured as much as possible, especially around the edges. I placed the rocks and trees around the edges because I like to have that dark color on the outside, and I really wanted the rocks and such to be kind of hidden in the water, but still be able to be seen. On the left-hand side, the long line that goes across is meant to be kind of a tree that fell across the water. On the bottom left-hand side, there were some rocks that I put there. Now, granted, I did end up painting over a lot of this, and there were definitely times during the process of this painting I was like, oh, what am I doing? Now I can't see anything that I put down in the first layer. I really wanted some of that stuff to kind of pop through the paint. And I realized that I mixed a lot of white in to get that light bluish green color, and it was very opaque. I used titanium white, which is an opaque paint, which means it's hard to see through it. Not much light will get through it. And so I ended up actually going back later and painting some of the rocks on top of the water. Anyway, so after the rocks and the trees, I added the watercolors. The yellows are meant to be reflections of light, and I also go in with some sparkly color as well. I think I did golds and silvers in this one. Once I got a lot of the watery color, I did go back through and add more brown and more reflection details and some little strokes of green that could be, it could be little fish, it could be grass, it could be whatever, just to bring a little bit of interest into the middle. I was really hoping that by the time I was done that your eye would move completely around the piece. So like I said earlier, my husband and I really enjoy camping or RVing, glamping, whatever you want to call it. And we go, I would say, about once a year if we can, and we try to camp at least one spring. Some of the springs that we've actually camped at are Wekiva Springs, which we did recently this year. That one's really close to home. It's very pretty, and we got there before the springs were really busy, which was nice. Manatee Springs has a nice camping area. Ginny Springs, which is near Gainesville, tends to get really busy with college students, so I highly recommend, if you're going to camp there, that you go during the week and not on the weekends. Rainbow River has a nice campground, and the water along the river is spring fed, and it's very clear, very beautiful. We got some really great videos in that area. We haven't been there with the kids in a long time, but they all had a really nice time when we were there. And one place we went to but did not camp at was Devil's Den. And it's really beautiful. The pictures were beautiful, so we definitely wanted to make some time to go there. We love going to the springs because the water is so clear. It's perfect for snorkeling. And, you know, there's always just a quick little walk to the spring. If you're not familiar, the springs in Florida stay about 72 degrees year-round, which makes it very refreshing in the summer. You just have to be aware that our summers get to 100 degrees or more, so it does feel super chilly when you first get in, but then you can acclimate to it pretty well. It's really nice. And in the winter, that 72 degree weather feels very, very warm when it's 30, 40, 50 degrees outside. Yeah, so you can go swimming in them year round, and as long as they're not closed down for maintenance or for the waterway's ability to be able to grow back some of the areas that are used for tubing, they close down to make sure that the wildlife and the vegetation in those areas have an opportunity to grow and to keep moving forward. Now, there are also some areas in the springs where people go cave diving. Now, I don't scuba dive myself, but we have seen people suiting up to go cave diving, and that requires special certifications. And yes, people have died in the caves in Florida while scuba diving, so you definitely need special certification for that. I think you need to be a special brave person, because basically you're diving in the dark with light, and it's interesting to think about, but it's not really something I'd want to do. But definitely, if you're into scuba diving and that's something you'd be interested in, look it up. I don't have any resources on that, but I just thought I'd share it because I think it's pretty interesting. Also, when we've been camping at the springs, we have seen our fair share of wildlife. which is always nice to see deer and to see fish. Let's see, you could encounter a black bear. I have not seen one, thank goodness. I don't know how I'd handle that. Snakes, unfortunately, yes, we have those. In Florida, you have to be careful of rattlesnakes, so you definitely always want to be aware. And I would not go walking through the woods in Florida in flip-flops or even in sneakers anymore. We bought some hiking boots because of snakes and ticks, just stuff like that you have to be aware of. And oh yeah, last time we were there, we actually saw some wild turkeys, and I posted a video because I thought it was so funny. A female and a male turkey, and the male opened up his feathers to make sure we knew he was there, and he was protecting his little friend. So that's always fun. That's one of the things we really like about camping, is getting out into nature, seeing some wildlife, being at the springs. We also go camping at beaches and near some little rivers, and it's just a nice time to refresh the spirit. And there's no home projects that have to be done when we're out there. Unfortunately, recently a tree fell on our RV, so we won't be taking out our RV anytime soon. We were going to replace it, but we decided to wait. We've got some other things we'd like to take care of in the meantime. But one of these days, I'm sure we'll replace it and get back out camping. In the meantime, we'll just have to find new ways to explore the state, maybe visit some other areas. We'll still be taking the occasional surf trip. Anyway, here is the finished piece. You get a close-up, you can see the texture, the golden and silver light reflections, what looks like rocks, all the little details. Hopefully this conveys the feeling of being at the springs. That's my hope. And hopefully this lovely painting will find its way into its very own home. Anyway, at least I hope so. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by hitting the thumbs up. And thank you so much for spending time with me today in my studio. Hopefully I'll see you at the beach. Bye.